It was just another gray Tuesday afternoon in the sleepy town of Maple Ridge. Rain streaked the windows of the small local grocery store as Emily Carter stood in line, clutching a carton of milk and a box of granola bars. The 24-year-old waitress had just finished a long shift at the diner and had barely $40 left in her account. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get her through the week. As the cashier scanned her items, Emily heard a soft voice behind her. I think that's more than I have," the elderly man muttered, staring helplessly at the screen flashing $43.89. She turned. The man looked to be in his 80s, frail with trembling hands and a worn-out military cap. He fumbled through his wallet, pulling out a handful of crumpled bills and coins. A loaf of bread, 2 cans of soup, a small bottle of milk, that's all he had. The cashier's smile faltered. "I'm sorry, sir. You're a few dollars short." Without thinking, Emily stepped in. "I'll cover it," she said softly. The man looked at her, eyes wide behind cloudy glasses. No, I couldn't." "Please," she interrupted gently. "Let me." He studied her face, tired, but kind. "Thank you, young lady," he whispered, his voice cracking. "You remind me of my daughter. God rest her soul." She smiled, placed a hand on his shoulder, and paid for both their groceries. It was a small gesture, barely $50. But to him, it seemed to mean everything. They parted ways outside the store. He didn't say much, just pressed her hand tightly and thanked her again before disappearing into the drizzle. Emily walked home, soaked and hungry, but feeling oddly lighter. 3 hours later, just as the sky turned ink black and the sound of thunder rolled in the distance, Emily was curled up on the couch with a blanket and a bowl of cereal. The power flickered. Then came the rumble of engines. She froze. 3 black SUVs pulled up in front of her modest house. Men in dark suits stepped out. One of them approached the door and knocked, firmly but respectfully. Heart pounding, Emily opened the door. "Miss Carter," the man asked, flashing a badge that bore the presidential seal. "We need a moment of your time." What's going on?" she stammered. "We're here on behalf of President Maxwell." She blinked. "The president?" The man nodded. "The gentleman you helped at the grocery store today, that was his father, Colonel Arthur Maxwell. He was incognito for security reasons, following a medical appointment nearby." Emily's knees gave out, and she leaned against the doorframe. The agent smiled warmly. "The president sends his deepest gratitude. He was deeply moved by your selfless act, not knowing who the man was, not caring. Just kindness." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "Dear Emily, my father told me about what you did today. He said you were a light in a dark place. In my world, surrounded by policy and power, I often forget the strength of simple human compassion. Thank you for reminding me. With gratitude. President James Maxwell." There was also a check, made out to her name, for $250,000. Word spread quickly. The local news picked it up. Then national outlets. A week later, she was on talk shows, podcasts, even a morning special titled "The Girl Who Changed the President's Heart." But Emily never chased fame. She declined brand deals and interviews. Instead, she used the money to pay off her mother's medical bills, fix the broken roof over their heads, and start a small foundation called the Grocery Line Project, helping others pay it forward, one cart at a time. And somewhere in the White House, the president kept her photo on his desk. A reminder that real power didn't come from politics or wealth, but from everyday people like Emily, who chose kindness even when it cost them. Sometimes, the smallest gestures echo the loudest in the hearts of others. You never know who's watching. You never know who you're saving. So be kind, always. Because kindness, it always finds its way back.